And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. So, Charlie Kirk has been shot dead. He took a facial, not a facial, but he took a fatal shot to the neck. And unfortunately, they weren't able to do anything about it. They rushed him to the hospital. Or before he could be rushed to the hospital, unfortunately, he passed away. Which is very unfortunate, by the way. And gets me wondering, like, the extent to which people will go to settle their political scores. Because think about it. I mean, I do agree his issues are controversial. But everybody should be allowed to communicate your thoughts. That's my opinion. It doesn't matter left wing, right wing, because this is setting a very bad precedence in general, where political scores will just be settled through violence. But on the other hand, I must address the fact that this gentleman was addressing a very, very violent or a very special demographic. Think about it. His issues, he was mostly debating extreme leftists, and remember that he's an extreme rightist himself. So, as an extreme right wing, addressing extreme leftists, you can imagine how much their ideologies differ, because they're always people like us who are in the middle, we agree with things on the right and we do agree with things on the left and vice versa. And this kind of like, it's a sad day for America in general. Like, man, I don't like the way Americans in general, they want to settle their differences through violence. What if you don't disagree with someone? Like, does it have to turn to violence? That's like my question. Does it always have to resort to violence? Because now look at how like people are going to be divided farther and farther apart. Like the right wing and the left wing, people are going to move farther and apart, and this is not going to help in any way. So, in as much as we or human beings don't like each other per se, it is always important just be tolerant of one another, like in general. Just what is so difficult in tolerating one another? Let me check if I can find. Oh, this is really bad, bro. This is really bad. This is not a good thing. This is a very sad day for. This is a sad day for America, unfortunately. And to me, the shot, it appears as if the shot came from the roof, cause, and then when you look at all the, the setting, how the how they were seated or their location or whatever. Can I find the news? Let's see if we can find the news. very, very, very sad in general. But it doesn't always have to end like this, because let me set this up real quick before we can get to effects, green screen, select more photos, done. No. How do I add a back green screen here? That's is it this one? Can I replace? Beep, ba ba ba, beep 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 beep, beep ba ba ba. You know, whenever there's a there's some shooting of some kind, the first question that people always ask is like, should there be gun control? You know, whenever there's these shootings, like the first instinct is always to go to, should there be gun control? But I don't really think the issue is gun control per se. Because think about it, how many homes have knives? So many homes have knives. But how many people in that regard use knives to unalive other people? I don't see like in several homes many people just have knives and live with knives, and you will never hear about somebody unaliving somebody. So the biggest issue I don't think is the guns. The biggest issue is the guns fall in the wrong hands in general. Uh, so gun control cannot be an issue per se. But Charlie Kirk really put himself in a very difficult situation, because all this going to campuses and debating all these people. Think about it. He was extremely right wing, and he was debating people who are extremely left wing. So, two or three people with extremely diverse views, how is that supposed to end up in general? Because he was talking about some of the issues he addressed, which mainly agree now, like the issue of different genders, and like having LGBTQ in the bathroom and in schools, and teaching all these things in school, which kind of made sense to some extent. But are there people who are gonna agree with that? Nope. And then also look at it like the exact demographic of persons who are going to debate him on these issues. You know, do you think is the kind of demographics that he would want to debate? Because for me, that particular demographic is very deranged. Like, see what Wakawaida, they are very deranged in nature. They are not normal people, in my opinion. Because to me, somebody who wants to change their gender, or they believe that they were born male and they should be female, and they're very stuck up on it, and they do very crazy things, by the way. So do you think you can change somebody's mind, somebody who thinks like that? Like, because at that point, ask yourself, like, how do they get to that point where they're like, my gender is different from what I was born in the first place? And that is just like one of the people that Charlie Kirk was debating in general. And then that, and the abortion control, or the abolition of abortion, which many people didn't agree with. And that's also another extreme population or subset of the population. So if you think about it, like, he was treading on very, very dangerous grounds, and it was just a matter of time before something bad happened. I didn't think of it like it will be like this extreme, but what this shows is that I think where America has got into is that it's very dangerous, to say the least. Because now you can even debate in peace, really. Like, you cannot even debate somebody in peace. Like, okay, we disagree on this and this issue. Let's have a decorum, or let's talk about it. Americans do not want to do that. Why would they do that while they have more guns than people? Do you think I disagree with Americans? When I drive, nikiendesha gari pale, and then we disagree, mtu aingie pale vibaya, like, do you think I'm going to have, full blown outrage? Nope. Whenever I get pissed off, the first thing I think about is, if I get out of this vehicle, the person, in the other vehicle is probably going to have a gun, or they're going to be armed. So America has more guns than any other person, and I don't believe the issue is the gun, because in many countries, there are countries that people have guns, and in the same regard, regard the people who have guns. Criminals have guns too, right? And whether or not gun is an issue, they should look at countries that already have guns and how they are handling that gun issue in the first place. Because gun is not the problem. The problem is putting the guns in the hands of wrong people. Like, for instance, the 13-year-old who was caught with, I don't know, is it 14 different guns? Like, what is a 14-year-old doing with 14 different kinds of guns, for instance? Is that valid? Is there a reason why, as an American father to buy his or her own son guns at the age of 16 as a birthday present, or as whatever it is that they want to give them? Like, for me, I don't think guns should be, first of all, guns should not be in the hands of children. And for adults who have guns, they should be charged, or they should be responsible for having those particular guns, or for the safe keeping of these particular guns, because there's no need, you know. So it is very unfortunate that the left and right now do not agree, and I just hope that the gender of the person, not the gender but the race, will be same race, so they don't make it such a big deal the way they've been making other, you know, assassinations or mass shootings, making it feel like it's different genders fighting each other. I mean, different races. This is not a race war. I believe it's not a race war. Yeah. But it's very unfortunate that we've lost Charlie Kirk, and yeah. Anyway, guys, catch up with you later. I have to go to a meeting later. Catch you later. Bye. How do I end this stuff? Oh wow, it's interesting.